Tuesday, WWE Unreal, it made its return for season 3. So WWE Unreal, as you guys know, is the behind the scenes show that WWE does where we get our look at the production and what goes on a daily basis behind the scenes of creative, the wrestlers and what they go through in the production of the show. So the first 2 episodes, before I get into this, this is a spoiler warning for you guys. So the show covers pretty much John Cena's last match in the first 2 episodes. So we're kind of getting highlights from last season going in, and then it leads into the summer, and then it ends at Saturday night's main event. So John Cena pretty much takes care of the first 2 episodes by himself, and then we get the introduction of AJ Lee, CM Punk, Liv Morgan, and in the few episodes after that, we get introduced to others such as Obafemi, Trick Williams, the Lash Legend side, and Chelsea Green has a small part in it, unlike her unlike her involvement in the previous seasons. Who else do we get? And we also get to see kind of the building of these newer guys. I would like to see more of that, but the 2 guys that we got between Obafemi and Trick Williams is actually good to see because those are pretty much the 2 guys that are pretty much the most over. And we also got involvement from Braun Breaker, who's also a focal point of the show, but we will continue with him later. Now, the thing with the John Cena part was that I think with the John Cena portion of it, it was interesting because a lot of the time during the John Cena last time is now a year, there were a lot of downs, and John Cena in Unreal Season 3 says that is what he wanted. John said that he wanted it to be bad, like he wanted to kill wrestling. And well, it's kind of fun, like Triple H even talked about in creative meetings that John Cena wanted to win matches by countout, and him being bad was a part of the whole deal. But as we all know, that John Cena heel turn didn't actually work, or that idea that he had did not work, and they had to shuffle plans, and we would eventually get John Cena to turn face, and it will lead to the return of Brock Lesnar, and it'll also talk about the AJ Styles John Cena match, how that match was not supposed to happen. It was supposed to be Drew McIntyre the entire time, but Cena went to Twitter, and the fans wanted to see him versus AJ Styles. Me and Eck, while we were here, we discussed that he needed to face AJ Styles because AJ Styles is one of his most important rivals, especially later in his career. So we got that out of it, and it was interesting to actually watch. I'm glad we actually did get that. And they talked about how the finishes were, how they did the finishes and things like that. So I did think it was a good interaction to get for the final episode, for the first 2 episodes, to see that John Cena go away tour. And also, I'm glad they didn't shy away from this, and they did not shy away from the idea of that the last match was not good. They did not hide the fact that the fans were not happy about John Cena's final match. They did not shy away from it at all. And they got the interaction. They had the reactions from the fans from the internet and things like that. They also got the fans booing Triple H, but that's pretty much what John Cena was going for. John Cena essentially wanted to kill himself off of wrestling. He was saying that this is the first time that somebody has taken themselves off the show. And the way he explains it sounds better, was not executed the best, in my opinion. But I kind of got to respect where he's coming from when it comes to that. It was meant to make Gunther a star. The year hasn't turned out in that way for Gunther, because I think there's been much more things that can actually be done with Gunther, but we have not gotten those. We'll get to that. I'm not going to get too much into SummerSlam. I'll wait till next week. But it did not pan out the way we wanted to. And we got that infamous scene with Cena holding both belts, this reminiscent of what him and Batista did for Hogan on his pretty much, I'm not sure that was his final match on Raw, but they did that moment for Hogan. Punk was like, you know what, that's perfect that we do it for Cena. So I did enjoy the John Cena portion of it for what it was. And I'm glad they actually did focus this as well. But the person that I think that they did a lot for, in particular, in my favorite portion of it, was Liv Morgan. And because Liv Morgan, she was coming off of that injury and she would return in November at the Survivor Series against John and interfere and cost John Cena his match for the IC title and helping Dom regain the IC title. So I did enjoy watching that whole comeback of it because Liv Morgan, somebody that when you watch, she does so much and she's such a focal point of the show at this point. And you can easily tell how much Liv cares. You could tell Liv cares so much about what is going on, what WWE has done for her, what WWE has meant to her. Even when she comes backstage post from her matches, you can even tell that the way she's talking to Triple H, how much she really cares, how grateful she actually is. And we got a good look about her on her life and the things that goes on. Like they show her farm and things like that. They also show her rehab and things like that. So it was very interesting to see what Liv Morgan went through the most to get back, and all the progressions of her winning the Royal Rumble, her stuff with Stephanie Vaquer, and how physical that feud actually was. It was really good to actually get some insight on that, and I really did enjoy watching that. Liv Morgan, like I said, Liv Morgan might be one of my favorite stories in wrestling because of her rise to stardom. When we saw Liv Morgan in NXT, you would have never thought that she would possibly be the marquee on a wrestling card. You never would have thought she would be the face of a division. You never would. You did not see that. She just gradually turned into that. And one thing that Unreal did hit on a lot was injuries. And the thing with injuries are, in wrestling, they're not always a bad thing. They can be seen as a blessing. Sometimes the injuries, they benefit you in the long run, because sometimes it's good to stay off of TV. Sometimes it is good to not be around so the fans can forget about you. Returns always pop people, and sometimes it's better from a storyline perspective. And Liv Morgan's somebody who's benefited from it more than one time. Not just this time, but also when Rhea Ripley got hurt, when Liv was able to have that feud with Becky, win the women's title, and then she would pursue Dom. I don't think that feud with Rhea would have went that way if Rhea doesn't get hurt and Liv has to defeat Becky and chase Dom, because chasing Dom was probably the best part of that storyline. And we wouldn't have gotten that if Rhea was not hurt. So Liv Morgan definitely had a tremendous story in Unreal, and I really did enjoy that. And watching her and her being how grateful she was that Triple H put the title on her, like I said, you could see how happy she was that Triple H put the title and he trusted her and things like that. And he also called Liv Morgan, I believe, what did he say specifically? I think I have it in my phone. But he called her one of his ringleaders. He could put her in the ring with anybody. And Liv Morgan has become that kind of person that you can put her in the ring with anybody and the match will be good. Liv Morgan doesn't deserve any flack at all. Liv Morgan has constantly grown throughout this entire time. And I really did enjoy Liv Morgan's story arc in WWE Unreal. So I highly recommend everybody to watch that. Although I do think Unreal has lost a little bit of its I guess you can say its luster from season one, because season one, we weren't sure what to expect, but we got everything in season one. And season three, it does not present any locales like season two did with the Road Dogg or anything. But I think Unreal, maybe because we're used to it at this point, that we're so accustomed to it that we're not really learning anything anymore. At this point, we're just kind of seeing how the process goes or how some of the decisions we make, and the fact that we see things backstage. It is probably the most important thing about Unreal. And also Unreal, one of the big marquees was this of Unreal was the fact that we get to see AJ Lee, because AJ Lee is somebody who has been absent from WWE for years, and we never thought we would see AJ Lee return at all. But we did get AJ Lee, and she was involved in Unreal season 3. And she got a nice story arc as well. We got to hear about her upbringing, her return to the company. You got to hear a lot about that and what made her want to come back, and things she fought for and things she strove for. And although that's pretty much what all her shtick was when she did have her time on camera, it was very good to see that she actually wanted to be involved in a show like this. And you see the nerves backstage that she had before she returned. You saw that. You saw the importance of her being with CM Punk backstage, and she had a line saying that, you know what, I'm being paid like I didn't fight just for TV time. I fought for equal, and she's making just as much money as CM Punk at this point. And I thought this was really good. And I thought it was really great seeing AJ Lee on camera doing things like this, doing confessionals, seeing her feud with Becky, seeing her win the IC title. They did go through the unfortunate passing of Larry, their dog, but I think it was really good seeing AJ Lee return in WWE Unreal, and I'm glad we got to see her. Chelsea Green, of course, I think she only maybe had one scene, but of course Chelsea Green steals the show with the return of Matt Cardona. If you guys haven't seen, I highly recommend watching that. They also hit on Trick Williams and his rise, winning the U.S. title at WrestleMania, and also Seth Rollins is also a focal point of the show. But I think the big gets for the show were Liv Morgan and AJ Lee, because the others, they've been involved in the show for the first 2 seasons, but I think Liv Morgan and AJ Lee are the standouts from WWE Unreal Season 3. I did enjoy it, but like I said, I think Unreal's become something that we've become accustomed to, and the formula doesn't surprise us anymore.